Okay. Uh, my voice is loud and clear, right? You all can hear me properly. I mean, there is no glitch. My voice is not breaking. It's loud and clear, right? Can anyone confirm if my voice is loud and clear to all of you?
You sound really good to me.
Okay, okay, great, great. Thank you. Thank you, Revan. So today we are going to discuss a interesting topic, and we all could relate with this topic really. The topic is reaction versus response. And sometimes we go through stressful situations, we become angry, we become agitated, and we react instead of responding. And I will start the session with a funny story about Buddha that I have read long time back, probably in when I was in school. And the story was like this, that Lord Buddha, with some of his disciples, was going through, a village, and there was a forest beside the village, and suddenly a person came from nowhere, and that person was a very notorious person, and he is known as, very a person with a foul mouth, and he started uh, telling a lot of gibberish. He started attacking Buddha verbally. He told Buddha that you are hypocrites, you are good for nothing, you are just making, fool of people, you are misguiding them, and some, abusive language, the vulgar language he was using. And Buddha was very calm and composed, like Buddha was a very smart person, I sometimes I tell my students that Buddha was a smart dude. So Buddha was very calm and very composed, and one disciple was there, and he was um, one of the 10, the closest disciple of Buddha. He was one of the hi lady, good to see you. I know lady from whole brain health group. So yeah, please have a seat. Namaste, namaste. So uh, Ananda asked Buddha that, Buddha, you are not angry? That person came and he's insulting you. He is, using abusive language, and he's just hurling at you. He's just shouting at you. You are not angry. You are not doing anything. And then Buddha replied to Ananda. I told Ananda was one of his closest disciple and companion. So the Buddha said to Ananda that, when someone wants to give you a gift, but you do not accept it, the gift belongs to that person. So when someone is offering you something, but you do not take it, you refuse, it belongs to that person. So the person who came out from the forest and started insulting Buddha, started abusing Buddha, Buddha did not do anything. Buddha did not react. And that person is still carrying that hate, that anger, that jealousy. So, this particular story I have read when I was in school, and now I can relate with it, right? So, we always have a choice of accepting something from a person. If we want, we can refuse, and if we refuse, that things belongs to them, right? So it's a very funny story. At the same time, it's a very profound story, which shows that we always have a choice to not taking things at heart, to not taking things personally, to not letting people insult us. Because what happens most of the time, and Ananda told, asked Buddha that how can you remain so calm and so composed and so cool? Then Buddha said that it is up to you. If you let people interfere with your inner peace, if you let people interfere with the temperament, if you let people. Hi, Jashiki. Namaste. We have a good new member today. Okay. Okay, Dima has come. Okay. Good to see you, Dima. Please have a sit. So then Buddha said that, the same thing. Buddha said that you should not allow someone to meddle with your inner peace. You should not allow someone to disrupt your inner peace. If there is someone who can disrupt your inner peace, that is you. You are responsible. If you take it at your heart or not, if you react with this particular incident or not. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you this funny story so we can understand the importance of not reacting and responding to a situation in a thoughtful manner. Now, I will discuss a little bit from the perspective of psychology and neuroscience. When we react in any particular situation, and like I told you, like we all go through different difficult situation in life. Like Buddha said that we all are suffering. There is no one in this world who is not suffering. Okay, but we suffer in our own ways. And there are stressful situations when we become panicked. There are situations where we become angry. There are situations when we become frustrated. There are situations where it becomes very overwhelming and we could not take it anymore and we react. Okay, rather than responding, we show our reaction. And most of the time, reaction is very quick. It's emotional. I mean, it is driven by our immediate feelings. That feelings could be rage, anger, jealousy, maybe frustration. And sometimes the reaction is automatic. Why it is automatic, I will discuss. And sometimes our reaction is also influenced by our past experiences, or maybe our subconscious mind. Maybe uh, I had a bad day, okay, and that thought was lingering into my subconscious mind. I was not aware, but the moment uh, maybe I was faced with a situation and I shouted. I did not even know why I shouted, but something was going on in our subconscious. And this kind of things happen frequently in our daily life, right? And sometimes it is influenced by our past experience. Maybe one person insulted me 2 days back, and today finally I shouted at her or shouted at him. Why? Because my mind captured that emotions of being insulted 2 days back, and it was there in my mind. I did not let it go, I did not release that emotion, and suddenly it got activated and I shouted at him or I shouted at her. So sometimes it is also influenced by our past experiences. At the other hand, when we respond, the response are mostly mindful in nature, thoughtful in nature, and at the same time respectful in nature. Okay, so reaction and response are like opposite of each other. Now, when most of the time our reaction leads to negative consequences, we become angry and we make the situation worse, we make the situation more messy, more chaotic, and it leads to negative consequences. And then we regret, then we think that I should not have so said that, I should not have reacted in that manner, I should not have dealt this thing in this particular way. So, I think we all could relate with this particular thing, that after a particular incident, we had a regret that why did I deal this thing? Why did I say this thing? I could have remained silent. I could have just avoided the situation. It happens. Now, when we react, there is one organ which is responsible inside our brain, and that is known as amygdala. Okay, and amygdala is responsible for fight or flight signal, and it's one of the most primitive part of our brain, and it has played a very crucial role into our survival. So in ancient times, maybe when we were hunters, gatherers, that time we had to deal with many wild animals, right? Many natural calamities. And the amygdala used to give us the signal whether we have to fight with the situations or we need to just run away and save our life. The same primitive organ we are still carrying inside our brain. Right now, we are not in a situation that a wild animal will attack us, or maybe we will be in midst of some natural calamity because we did not have house, we had to stay in the caves. But our threat become very sophisticated, and this amygdala has the same tendency of promoting the signal of fight and flight, and sometimes it sends us the wrong signal. Maybe there is no threat, maybe there is no hostile situation, but it will send us a signal that you just run away or you just fight through the situation. So because of this amygdala, we react. Most of the time, amygdala is responsible for our reaction. Whereas when we respond, the different organ in our brain is responsible. And this particular part of the brain is known as prefrontal cortex. Now, this prefrontal cortex is responsible for our decision making, also our social behavior. Okay, we are not ape mans right now. We are not staying in jungle or forest. We have become civilized, and we have become a social, still we can say social animal, because our brain is very similar to the brain of other animals, but we have a very advanced prefrontal cortex and neofrontal cortex, and we can imagine, and our brain has better cognitive power than other animals, but still 90% of the brain are same, and that is why we use this term that we are social animal. So we have been civilized, we have started dealing with different things in a more creative manner, but the amygdala is still same. Okay, now when we are responding, this response is coming from prefrontal cortex. Okay, and this prefrontal cortex evaluate different kind of options, different kind of alternatives. It think about consequences. Amygdala never think about consequences. Okay, amygdala just we need to fight or we need to run away, but prefrontal cortex thinks about consequences. It make choices or it make decision based on reasoning rather than emotions. So amygdala does not care about rationality, but prefrontal cortex care about rationality, care about the long-term effect. Okay, so uh, when we are showing any kind of reaction, any kind of overwhelming feeling we had, and we just react, and that reaction could be in form of the anger, shouting, maybe crying. Okay, crying profusely, or doing any kind of behaviors which gets released from our mind as a form of reaction. And amygdala always focuses on immediate response, or quick response to threat, because that is what the function of amygdala. Okay, it does not do any rational thinking. So now our aim is to make our prefrontal cortex work when we are giving response, and silencing the amygdala. Now, it is not the easy job. Okay, if you practice mindfulness or any kind of meditation, definitely it will help you, but it will not happen overnight. Even if you are into practicing mindfulness, it will take at least 1.5 months, 2 months, because the neuroplasticity takes place, different brain circuitry changes. um, there there are more gray matters. When we practice mindfulness, there will be more gray matter in the hippocampus and less gray matter in the amygdala part, but it will take time. Okay, now what are the things that we can do when we are going through any kind of stressful situations, or the situation which makes us angry, the situations which we get panic attacked, how we can deal with this kind of situation. Okay, we discussed what is the reaction, what is response, and what are the brain part which is responsible for reaction and response. Now, how we can deal with our day-to-day activities and deal with this kind of situation. Okay, one thing is very important, that is the power of pause. We need to take pause. Suppose you got a mail in your mailbox from your boss, from your manager, and you got angry. Rather than typing the reply then and there, you just take a pause. Okay, maybe a person sent you a message, or maybe rude message. Rather than just typing back the SMS, take a pause. Okay, maybe there was a situation and you had to uh, give a reaction, but instead of giving the reaction, you just take a pause and give the response after some time. And when we are taking a pause, suppose we feel insulted, suppose we feel threatened, suppose we feel um, the person is not valuing me, suppose you feel that person has become very rude, suppose the person is become a insane, crazy, and just acting in a weird manner. And we see in real life, also in second life, not only in real life, also in second life, we go through this kind of experiences. What we need to do, we need to take a pause, and if possible, take some deep breathing. There is a whole neuroscience behind the deep breathing. Okay, I will not discuss in details, but just a few points I will tell, so that you get to know the exact mechanism about deep breathing. So when we take deep breaths, what happens? More oxygen rich blood goes to our brain. So when we take deep breathing, more oxygen comes to our blood, and that blood goes to our brain, or flows to our brain, and that improves our mental clarity, our focus, and our cognitive function. There is one more important part of deep breathing, that is, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, any kind of deep breathing, it stimulates the vagus nerve, and this leads to activation of parasympathetic nervous system. Now we have sympathetic nervous system, which is exactly how amygdala works, fight or flight, and there is parasympathetic nervous system, which which takes us out from that sympathetic nervous system mode. Okay, when we have when parasympathetic nervous system gets activated, it shuts down the sympathetic nervous system modes, which is basically our survival mode. Okay, which is basically the fight or flight mode. Okay, and what it does, it signals our brain that we are safe. Fine, it signals our brain that we are safe, we don't need to worry. Okay, also it lowers our heart rate and our blood pressure. Okay, that is the reason, whenever we have a very stressful situation, people say take some deep breathing. If you go to the counselor, if you go to a psychiatrist and psychologist, they said, take some deep breath. Maybe before the interview, if you are going for a job interview or any kind of interview, they said, if you get stressed or panic, you take some deep breathing, because this deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and it signals the brain that you are safe, you don't need to worry. Okay, and it lowers our heart rate and blood pressure, so our stress goes down and our brain comes in a better position for decision making. And when we are calm, we are the best decision maker. When we are agitated, when we are angry, when we are emotional, most of the time we make wrong decision, or most of the time our decision making power does not work, because of this particular reason. Our brain needs time. That is why our aim should be, to delay any kind of response. And when we are delaying any kind of response, we are actually increasing the duration of this pause. And when we are increasing the duration of the pause, our brain comes into the right mode where it can function properly and can make the right decision. So what we can do, we can just take a pause. If we think that I need to take more time, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, please, there is no hurry. Rather than, typing a mail then and there, saying something on someone's face, that snapping back someone, we can just take a pause and let the brain, think in a better, mindful manner or a thoughtful manner. There are other things also that we can do to respond rather than reacting. We can reflect before we speak. So we can see that what we are going to speak, whether it is aligned with my long-term goals or not. And that long-term goal could be anything. Maybe the promotion in a job, maybe getting into a relationship, maybe, uh, uh, cracking a business deal. It could be anything. It could be anything. So we should reflect before we speak, because our tongue, our words, cuts like a knife. Once it has gone out of our mouth, we cannot take it back. And because of this thing, many times we regret. Like I told, I should not have said that. I should not have told. I should not have, reacted in that way. So we should always reflect before we speak. Our speech is a very powerful thing. Okay. Also, another thing which is very helpful, that is, we can identify our triggers. We all get triggered by something. Okay, maybe you get triggered by seeing a spider. Yeah, I had a friend who gets triggered by seeing a spider, maybe a lizard, maybe maybe a particular situations where they are playing loud music. You might get I mean, a person might get triggered. So our triggers are different. So if we have this self awareness that okay, if these are the situation, these are the events, it might trigger. So then what we can do, we can deal with those situations in better manner. And mindfulness is a wonderful practice through which we can practice this, self awareness, because the more we become mindful, we are not only become aware about the external thing, at the same time we become aware about the internal thing. And this kind of reaction, I mean, this kind of stressful situation not only comes from outside, it also comes from inside, in the form of hatred, in the form of jealousy, in the form of anger, in the form of regret, in the form of guilt. What we can do, we can just become the witness, and not engaging with those emotions. So all these emotions, all these thoughts are like just the passing clouds. What do we need to do? Increase the duration of the pause, and automatically these thoughts, these feelings will come and go away. We will just try not to get attached with that particular emotions. So it's not only the external factors. Sometimes this things comes from within as well. So we can become the witness and we can just see them as a passing cloud. So yes, we can identify the triggers and we can plan that if I get triggered, how I will handle this beforehand. Also, when we are talking to someone, we can practice active listening with empathy. I told you, all people are going through suffering. There is no one who is not going through suffering. I can give you one incident. Yesterday I got a package from Amazon. My mouse is not working properly, so I ordered a mouse, and I stay on the second floor, and the delivery person came. The person first called me, so I said yes, please come on the second floor, and then I went to the rooftop, the balcony. I could not find a person, and then I saw the person and I said Amazon, and the person shouted at me and then told me why you are shouting. And I was waiting there on my balcony for 10 minutes. My classes going on. I asked my students to just wait. And the person shouted at me that why you are shouting saying Amazon. I am coming on the floor. And then he made me wait for another 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Now I could have been angry. But if I were angry and if I had some heated exchange with that person, that why did you keep me waiting for 20 minutes, I had my office work and I had my class, what would happen? My class would get impacted. Okay, so after coming back, I could not take the class properly. Even if I had taken the class properly, it would reflect through my speech and through my way of explaining, and my students would get it that I am not properly grounded, I am not properly balanced. So what I said, I just remained silent, and the person came and gave me the product and I said thank you, and he went away. That matter could have been aggravated, that matter could have been worse if I also reacted. But I knew that if I react, then who will suffer? I will suffer. My mental health, my mental peace will get disrupted. Okay, I will not be able to take the class properly. I will keep on thinking about this, and that person will just go away. So sometimes many situation will come into our life where we have to take the stand and we have to just be very calm and composed and not to react and only respond. I gave you my own personal experience because it happened yesterday only, and it was funny. Later on, I was laughing, but yes. So we should always try to respond and not react, and we should see that the our uh, response come from the prefrontal cortex and not amygdala, because amygdala is always blunt, just snap at the face. Okay, so but if I told you the power of pause, that we should always delay our response when we are going through this kind of situation. We should increase the duration of the pause, and sometimes we should also delay our gratification. So we feel like I have to check my phone right there. There was a notification, there was a notification sound, and we feel like then and there I have to take the phone and check who has messaged me. No, I can just wait. I can wait for 5 minutes. If I wait for 5 minutes, what I am doing, I am rewiring my brain. Just because we have become very instantaneous in our modern very fast-paced life, that whenever there is message, then and there I have to see. Whenever there is a mail, then and there I have to reply. When someone is saying, then and there I have to give the answer. Our brain has been conditioned like that. But when we start practicing, delaying our response, increasing the duration of pause, delaying our gratification, saying no to our brain, then we are actually rewiring our brain, and slowly, gradually, over time, we will develop more resilience, and we will develop more capacity to respond than react. Okay, so that's what I wanted to discuss today. And yeah, last point was listening and empathize with the person. Maybe yesterday the person who came from the Amazon delivery team, maybe he had a bad day. Maybe he had a fight with someone. Maybe he lost some money. Maybe he lost some packages. Maybe he was suffering with something that I do not know, and his reaction and shouting at me, it's just a sign of spilling over. Maybe he's very overwhelming. So we can just remain calm, just like Buddha told, we all are suffering. We can become kind to each other. Okay. Uh, and before joining any meeting, before interacting with people, we should always see that whether we are grounded or not, whether we are physically balanced or not, mentally balanced or not, even spiritually balanced or not, and that actually helps us dealing with other human being, dealing with external world. Okay, so that's all from my side. Now if you have any question, if you would like to share any of your experience, please do, because I also learn from you all. Any experience or anything, any question you have, you can speak, or you can type in the local chat, whatever you feel fine. If you're speaking, I'll just increase your volume a bit so that I can listen to you properly, or you can just type in the local chat. Okay, Jashiki said that just sharing my practice during your pause, you can use a mantra. Yeah, to create a clear awareness of what you are hearing and just remind yourself it's just hearing. True, right? In this way, you avoid attachment to what you are hearing, therefore, you would not feel the need to react, etc. This is the practice of vipassana. Yeah, true. Meditation, which one can constantly practice throughout the day. Sometimes noble silence is the best. Exactly. That is why, it said silence is golden. And yes, you can use any kind of mantra, and many religious tradition uses mantra and meditation to, get into a very calm space from where we can respond and not react. Thank you so much, Jashiki, for sharing your reflection. Thank you. Anyone else who would like to? Uh, Saren. I think this time I took your name correctly. Saren. Okay. Ah, great. Thank you. I'm working on all these aspects of myself. Great, great. We all are work in progress, right? We are not perfect. Okay, so Dima said a piece of wisdom for conversation that I have encountered is your response should be a deep breathing, right? This breath does not need to be visible or dramatic. It's a slight pause into the conversation. It allows the body, mind, and moment to connect with one's wiser core. Slowing down conversation does not remove the emotion from the conversation, but more importantly, I find it helps me to reassert some control. Exactly, Dima. So what Dima said, it's really true that you know your response could be simple, a deep breath. And when we are having this deep breath, I told you, our parasympathetic nervous system activates, and it signals the brain that we are safe, and it also lowers down our heart rate and blood pressure. So yeah, great. Thank you so much, Dima, for sharing your experience. Yeah, exactly. Any other questions or any other reflection? I'm going to record the session, and I will share the link. to Sophie, and Sophie will upload it on the Buddha Center website, and you all can check. Okay, I think no other questions or no other reflection. Thank you so much for joining the session. I feel so glad, and I wait for the entire week that when I will come to the Buddha Center and I will share a little bit what I have learned in my journey, and also learning from you. That is more important for me, that how I can learn from all of you. Okay, so next Saturday again we will meet. Yeah, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. So next Saturday we will discuss with some other topic which might be helpful for all of us. And thank you so much everyone for joining and sharing. Yeah, namaste and have a great week ahead. Bye for now.